around offensively and defensively. So, the slow start, it's one of those things in football. You can't predict everything. So it's just coping with it and trying your best, to stop the bleeding a little bit when you do have a slow start so that you can kind of get back going in the second half.
Thanks, JT.
Next question from Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider.
JT, can you talk about that fourth down stop that seemed to kind of motivate you guys and kind of get you lifted up? How big was that just to kind of keep you in the game and maybe give you a chance here at the end?
It was huge, especially, defensively. That just kind of boosted our morale completely. Like I said earlier, we play for one another. So just the fact that we made that big stop so that offense can, get the ball back and go down and put some points on the board was just a great feeling.
You guys have always had kind of that next up mentality. The way that Jaron McVay stepped up when Petrie was out, how big was that to maybe help the defense out?
Yeah, I mentioned this last year. I don't know if you guys remember, but, twos practice like one so that in any case that a one does go down, Jaron, he steps up and he plays like a one. There's no slack off at all. So, it's definitely comforting to know that you have people that, especially in the secondary, that no matter what, they have our backs and we can all play as one.
Next question from Kevin Longquist with SicEm365
JT, when you guys, I don't know which part you feel like the momentum started to turn, maybe that fourth down stop that Jerry just mentioned, or perhaps after you guys gave up the big run to Barlow and you held them to a field goal. Where did you start to feel like things were starting to turn for you all?
I don't know if I can really mention one specific play, but at least for me, I know just offensively, offense just started heating up. We got those early pass interference calls that kind of got them rolling, and then Squirrel just toting the rock. It's just once you see somebody that you've been playing with since you've been at Baylor just succeeding, it definitely makes you want to succeed. So I couldn't think of a specific play, but for me personally, it's definitely offense just going down there and moving the rock.
Do you think this second half was probably the best half of football you guys have played this year among all four games?
I could say collectively as a whole, it was. Offense was on fire, like I just mentioned, and defensively, we just kept getting stop after stop after stop. So it was kind of rolling over. We were playing for one another, and it just felt really good all around.
All right, thank you.
Final question for JT comes from Shehan Giarajah with Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
Hey, JT, what's kind of the atmosphere right now in the locker room? Obviously going down big and kind of having this big comeback.
Mm-hmm. Nobody really likes losing. So our morale is a little under right now, but we have a philosophy, 1-0, and we really live by that. So, tomorrow get in, figure out what we need to do to get better, and then it's 1-0, we're on to Iowa State. What
was kind of said in the locker room at halftime to kind of, that kind of led to the comeback that you guys were able to have in the second half?
Right when we got in the locker room, Garrett McGuire, he just talked to both of us and said, look, defensively, you guys got to step it up. Offensively, we got to step it up. We all got to play for one another. And we definitely went and did that the second half.
All right. Thanks for your time, JT.
Thank you.
Go ahead. All right, now we have Ben Sims at the podium. Please use the raise hand function if you'd like to ask Ben a question, and I'll call on you individually. First question comes from John Werner with the Waco Tribune-Herald.
Yeah, hey, Ben. You guys got off to a slow start. What did you feel like was the reason for that?
I think it's kind of a trend. The past couple of games, we've kind of had a slow start. And there's been an emphasis to begin to pick it up, like more of a start fast, finish strong kind of mentality. And I think we're still trying to work over that.
Well, why do you feel like you guys started clicking so much? Kind of late in the second quarter, then on through the second half.
Our energy and our tempo picked up. A lot of our energy comes from the sideline and built up energy on the field. As we came into halftime, like JT mentioned, we had Garrett McGuire, Coach Fedora, we had those guys saying, why not us? Why not us? So we came out and gave what we had.
Thank you.
Next question from Matt Roberts with KWKT-TV in Waco.
Yeah, been in a game like this where you guys get down 30-0, but you do come back and claw back. What do you take more from? Do you take more from the slow start? Or do you take more from the comeback?
For sure from the slow start. I mean, you could take from both, but from my perspective, I feel like the slow start kind of puts us in a hole early on. And if we just do what we're supposed to do early on, we would have taken care of business.
And for you to, you had some really big catches in this game. How far has that rapport with Charlie come in this short season where y'all really haven't been able to be on the field that much together?
Me and Charlie built up a great relationship. I came in 2018, and there have been times where we've just gone up to the indoor and thrown. And, as fall camp comes and goes, there's plenty of opportunities to get extra work, throw with him, get comfortable with the quarterbacks. But I think me and Charlie's relationship is starting to build up to a pretty strong level to where he'll trust me on certain downs and certain passes and certain plays.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks.
Next question from Bryce Cherry with the Waco Tribune Herald.
Ben, you're the first Baylor tight end to catch 2 touchdowns in a game since 2008. Do you feel like you've kind of gotten a nose for the end zone a little bit, and you feel like you can kind of continue that as the season progresses?
I would like to continue it. It feels good, but at the end of the day, it's kind of a team first sport. So, yeah.
Next question from Shehan Giarraja with Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
Ben, what's kind of the attitude with the team right now? How are you guys kind of feeling after the game, and how were you kind of feeling at halftime as well?
Of course, no one likes to lose. Obviously, energy's down. No one feels good right now. Everyone wants to get back to the drawing board and get back to work. But at halftime, we came in. We're like, what needs to happen? What do we need to implement to make sure that we give ourselves the best chance in this game? I thought we gave it a pretty good shot in the second half.
Offensively, where do you think some of that second half rhythm came from? Was there something that you guys felt like you were doing a lot better on offense?
I think the biggest thing is trusting in one another. New offense, right? We're still learning. We're still going in every day and learning something new, right? So I think trusting in one another is going to be a really big deal for us as we move forward, because we obviously showed that we could do some pretty cool things.
Next question from Jack Allen with KXXV TV in Waco.
Ben, how important was it to be able to get a little bit of momentum headed into halftime and be able to get that touchdown right before the break?
It is extremely important. Like I talked about earlier, the energy, energy is contagious, right? So, build a little energy, go and finish in the second quarter, go into halftime, feeling confident, trusting in one another, come out for the second half and trust each other and play ball, man.
Final question for Ben comes from David Smoak with SicEm365.
The question I have is that you apparently had really good weeks of practice. Was the distractions at the start of the week something that carried over, or did you clear that? And so if you had great practices, how do you describe what happened early in this game?
I don't know if I can stress it enough. The whole starting fast, man. We haven't been able to start fast. We haven't been able to jump the gun on anybody. We haven't been able to come out and do exactly right 100% of the time. I think we've had great practices. We put them all back to back, especially this week. But at this point, it's all about just showing up. We got to show up.
Are you running out of time to do that? Do you feel like you can, or are you running out of time?
What do you mean by that?
As far as showing up,
I don't understand the question.
Are you running out of time to start fast because now you're 1-3 and you have just lost another game at home? And are you running out of time? Do you feel like you have time to get it done?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thanks for your time, Ben. It should be coach. All right, we've got Coach Aranda at the podium now. Please use the raise hand function if you'd like to ask him a question. I'll call on you individually, and please unmute at that time to ask your question. First up will be John Warner with the Waco Tribune Herald. John?
David, it sounded like y'all had good practices leading up to the game. How do you explain the slow start?
I think it's been indicative so far this year, unfortunately, and it's something that we've have attempted to address. Apparently, not well enough. I think, practices, meetings. You look at the time there in the hotel, the Friday prep and the Saturday morning prep. There's just a momentum that you felt, and I think we're going to look at just how early we're getting to the stadium. We're going to look at the time on feet. We're going to look at everything. And, I think we were looking at maybe some more technical things. I think we need to expand that, and, it's certainly on me. And so I'll improve it.
What do you think it said about the team to come back like that after getting down so far?
Well, I mean, I think that's us. There's so many fighters, here in our locker room, and guys with just a ton of heart and a really, really strong care factor. I just, I take it upon myself that I don't need to be putting them in that situation, and they've been in that situation too much.
Thank you, Dan.
Next question from Matt Roberts with KWKT TV in Waco.
Yeah, Coach, kind of two different games almost, going down 30-0 and calling back the way that you did. For you as a coach, are you, do you focus more on the 30-0 hole or the way that the team came back like that?
Well, I think you build off of that second half, and you build off some of those individual performances. You look at Squirrel, you look at Youssef, you look at Sims. Charlie was getting into a rhythm there. I think the protection got better. And then defensively, there was some 3 and outs. But I think certainly you look at early in the game, and you look at, the execution. You look at effort. You look at, hey, this was called in this situation. How many times was that repped throughout the week? Are we putting guys in the best position? The guys that are on the field at that certain time, how many reps did they get in that call? You look at everything. I think the ability to start faster, right, and then for our confidence just to grow from that, I think is integral.
Next question is from Bryce Cherry with the Waco Tribune Herald.
Dave, do you guys feel like you are progressing as a team or regressing? Because like you said, it was a little bit all over the place today, sluggish early and then kind of lively late.
Yeah, I think just being in the locker room right now, there's a lot of guys first of all, everybody's heartbroken and everybody is upset and everybody's frustrated. And so, when I look into their eyes, I look at myself first, and the accountability just for me to do better is certainly there. And it's something that, I promised to them that I would. But then I think, when you walk around the locker room, though, you see guys that are bringing up the positives and working to find stuff to build on. I think it just speaks to the culture here. And we will build off those positives. But, when we have our Tell the Truth Sunday, we are going to dive into what went wrong, right? The mechanics of it, break it down so that we could build it back up and make it right.
Next question is from Jack Allen with KXXV TV in Waco.
Coach, one bright spot was the red zone offense, going 3 for 3 on scores down there. How big was it for Ben Sims to be able to kind of emerge as a red zone threat? Is that something that y'all saw in the game plan, or was it just a matter of him being able to get open and make plays?
It's a good question. I think it was both. I think Ben's been a guy that's been emerging for a couple weeks. I think Sean Bell, his work with Ben has been really good. And I think, we've seen some dividends here these last couple of weeks, practices, games, and that. Certainly not to this level, which is it's a great sign of progress there. I think for sure the best is yet to come. Defensively, they are big split safety coverage back there. And so one safety would be working to the twins, the other safety would be bracketing the X. So the middle of the field is open and is a weak spot. They adjusted on some of their stuff, but we were still able to make some contested catches, which just goes back to the progress that Ben's made, the confidence, really. And so we're in a good place with him. I feel really good about what's to come.
Next question from David Smoak with SicEm365.
Dave, before whatever you did in the second half to get at least back in the game, did you have any concern that that you had lost the team the way they played in the first half?
No, I felt like the sideline was very strong. I felt like there's a lot of energy there. I thought there was effort, chasing guys down when we missed an assignment or had and so I think the details can be cleaner. I think as coaches we can get guys in better position. I think that starts with me. And so we were able to do that and really kind of focus in both offensive and defensive plans to a much tighter one in the second half, and I think it paid off.
A follow-up question about Charlie Brewer. He seems to play better when the game just gets frenetic again. Did you at any time when he was taking the beating or missing some throws think about going to anybody else at quarterback?
We didn't. We talked about trying to get the ball out quicker and going tempo, and we talked about moving the pocket. And, when they would go to their 3-down looks, we talked about running the ball. We were able to make some plays there. I think a lot of squirrels runs were off of those looks. And so, I agree with what your assessment is that when the tempo goes, Charlie's at his best. And he made some plays with his legs as well as with his arm. And so we're trying to get to that as best we can.
Next question from Shehan Giarajah with Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
Hey, Coach, where do you kind of evaluate where you guys are as a team mentality-wise? And when you have a performance like this, where you start the way that you did, I mean, how do you kind of get guys back kind of up where they need to be?
Yeah. So I think we are, we're still trying to find our identity. And, I think offensively particularly, and I think really I probably should say mindset. And I think when you look at that second half and maybe potentially a couple other second halves, you're looking at guys that are just if they're walking up to the plate and there's 2 strikes on them, they're not choking up on the bat. They're going to take their full cut, right? And whatever happens. If I walk back to the dugout after a swing and miss, so be it. But I'm swinging for the seats. And I think we are getting some of those cuts later in games. We need to get those cuts at the start of games. And I feel that's on me. I think defensively, some of the stuff that we had were we had 10 guys in the right spot. We had 1 guy late or 1 guy this, 1 guy that. And so I'm going to look at, just for me personally, just how much we're doing. Can we simplify there to get to a better start? When we simplified it in the second half, I thought we played much better.
Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Charlie. How do you go about making a decision like that? Obviously, Charlie's been a leader for this team for many years. How do you kind of what's your process like, I guess, for making a decision like that?
Yeah, I think if it was readily apparent that making a move would enhance the team or give us a better chance to win, then you would. I've got great confidence in Charlie. I've got great confidence in the offense, I think, for us to really hone in on what we're doing and to have great ownership from our guys, like we've shown in spots, to be more consistent there, I think is really the tell.
Do you feel like there's something that you guys were able to flip or something you were able to do better to kind of find some of that offensive consistency in the second half?
I think in the second half, in these last couple second halves, there is we've been down, and there's been kind of the need to go fast. And I think when you're down, it gives it like, hey, we're already down. And then when you're going fast, there is as mentioned earlier, was that frantic pace. And so we have to build a mindset to start the game that we're in attack mode from the beginning. And like I said, that starts with me.
Next question is from Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider.
Dave, from a momentum standpoint, how big was that fourth down stop when, you guys, I think, were down 33-14 or 33-7 at that point, just to kind of get it shifted around?
It was huge. Just the push up front. I think those interior guys played a lot of snaps, and we were trying to get run pass recognition off of some of the old lineman stances, and we were trying to get into the best position possible. So they had that going, but when it gets to be a 4th and 1, it's really man versus man, and you're trying to win just inches of grass, and the push that we got made the difference.
And that fourth down play that y'all had late, did you feel good about that? Was that just a good play by that linebacker or the guy that came across?
Yeah, it's something that we've repped, and prior to this, we've had some success with it. There's a few of those 4th down calls that we have, and so we'll go back and look at just the execution of it. But from what I can remember, we've been pretty successful with that in the past.
Final question comes from Matt Roberts with KWKT TV in Waco.
Coach, being a head coach in your first year, everything's kind of new. Everything's a first time for you going into that locker room at halftime. Kind of what was your mindset going in there as you're getting ready to address your team?
I thought we were going to win the game. I mean, I really felt going in there and looking in the eyes of the guys like they wanted to go out on the field right now. And that was coming off of some points just prior to the end of the half. And so there was disappointment, sure, but there was an energy in there, and you could feel it. And we've got ourselves a great team. We've got to be able to play 60 minutes of football and start faster, and not wait for this or for that for us to get that pedal all the way down. And so that's, like I say, that's on me, and we're certainly going to work to come out faster in this next game.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
Thank you, guys.